Noveske 9mm PC Space Invader. I picked this one up over at Shooting Surplus. I was lucky I was able to get one because these things are, I think, on a 12 to 14 week backlog. Space Invader. Last time I heard the term Space Invader, it was when I used to play video games. And a lot of you guys are like, wait a minute, that's not on the Xbox or on a PlayStation. No, it was on the Atari 2600. Now, that's what I had. All the cool kids had the 8600. Now, we're talking classic games. Pac-Man, Defender, Centipede, Asteroids. This was a pinnacle time in life in general. We didn't have Xboxes where I've got some 8-year-old kid last time I play telling how he's going to kill all of us, and then just before the game starts he says, and this is after like mom conversations got involved, it really went sideways very quickly, and I was very surprised at where he went and what he was saying about my mom, which he had never met. But nevertheless, just before the game starts, he tells us all that he's going to get the highest amount of kills, that he's actually going to do it with a knife, and he did. It was 36 kills is what he got with a knife, and he had 11 deaths. So after that, I just stopped playing. I just realized shooting real guns was going to be a better way to go, and let's continue doing that. I mean, this kid's got a command center in his mom's basement, probably yelling at her to make the meatloaf. I don't even know, but a very pinnacle point. Now, when we look at the Space Invader games, the Atari, and everything else, you know, for some of you, this is kind of a good history lesson, because we had a rotary phone, then it went to a dial phone, and then we had a cord, and then of course if you wanted privacy, then we needed about a 40-foot cord to go have conversations we didn't want our parents to hear inside our bedrooms, right? So we could get a little privacy. Then the cordless phone came out, which was really awesome, because then I didn't have to worry about the cord and people moving and going underneath it and then disconnecting us, right? And then of course we went into the brick cell phone that went in the car, and then after the brick cell phone was the big one that was still huge, that was portable, and you could use it portably, but it looked like, you know, oh man, I cannot remember the Val Kilmer movie where they put the radio to the dude's head. It was just huge. Anyhow, and then we finally got flip phones and Blackberries and everything else. So just a little history lesson, but that was the last time I heard the term Space Invader. But we're going to talk about the Noveske Space Invader next. Let's talk about attributes. Starting at the muzzle, we have a 3-lug adapter, which is nice. I really prefer the 3-lug adapter. Just makes putting the cans on and off a lot easier. We have a 8-inch barrel with a rail, M-lock rail specifically, and we also have a little bit of Picatinny rail down on the bottom. This is always kind of unique to me, because for these style of guns, for some reason, they really like putting this rail down on the bottom, which is kind of odd nowadays because there's so many guns that are out on the market, including a lot that Noveske sells, that just have the M-lock on the bottom. I kind of prefer that. It works for this gun. Most guys are probably going to run some type of vert grip anyways, so it's not that big of a deal, but I really like the style of Noveske's rails that are just pretty much complete M-lock all the way around, but that's just me personally. You have a bolt release on the right-hand side. You have a mag release on the right-hand side, but you also have a paddle in conjunction with this. If you don't want to use it, you don't need to, but it's there. And I think for guys that like running the MP5, this is going to be a really good feature for you guys. Geisley charging handle, which is standard on the gun. Geisley trigger, standard on the gun. Magpul K-grip, which I really fancy a lot. I really like those. And then they're running the Q pistol stock right here. And I'll talk a little bit about this stock, both positives and negatives, and some things that I would like to see in the future. But this kind of gives you just an overall view of the gun right now. Going into the stock, one reason why I like the pistol stock on a lot of these guns, and if you really kind of haven't thought about it, if we short barrel a lot of guns, sometimes it makes it a lot more challenging going from state to state, because you got to go do paperwork on it. It's not that big of a deal, but you still technically you have to do a 5320.20 to be legal. The great thing about the pistol stocks like this is that I'm already legal. It's a pistol. it doesn't matter. I don't have to do any additional paperwork. So just something to consider in regards to the pistol stock. I like it. It's small, it's clean, it's not real big like a lot of them are. That's why I end up chopping a lot of mine down just a little bit. It has that style of MP5 to it where it goes in. This button releases it, and this is your all the way out position. Now, what you're probably looking at is this little doohickey right here. And that's the only thing that I have a problem with in regards to the stock. And that's because for me, I like running a 2-point on the right-hand side, which primarily means I like running a 2-point right in here, typically. Southpaw would do the opposite. So what I've done is I've jerry-rigged this Blue Force hardware to fall into one of these notches right here, okay? And I'm kind of cinching it up, and then I'm duct taping it. And that gives me that 2-point because I like running a 2-point. Now, it is rigged for a single point right here, but what I find is when your hand comes in, you've got that QD right here. And I'm not a big fan of where this is mounted. What I wish is that this could turn the other way, but I think what'll happen is if we turn it this way, you won't get that same pivot. So again, it's an option. It's on there for those that, you know, maybe your hand's a little bit smaller, so it doesn't really matter. However, if you've got big hands, that QD kind of comes right in here, and I think it binds a little bit. As far as up forward, I have another QD up here, so that takes care of my complete 2-point from the front of the gun all the way to the back of the gun as well. I think that if Q wanted to, they could, now granted there'd be a sacrifice, you could make a plate that bolts into this position right here. And it would actually, when you look at it, lock into these teeth, come around the other side, and you could put 2 QD cups in right here. Drawback, the stock would probably only close to right about there. And I don't know if there's a big enough market for that to be profitable. So nevertheless, mine's jerry-rigged, and maybe that's something that they would like to do. As far as shooting it, it shoots really well. I'm running an Aimpoint T2 red dot optic on here, and then I'm running it on the spur mount. I really like these mounts. They're pretty clean on the side and simple to use. So again, Noveske'S 9mm PC Space Invader.